You're listening to a Cup of Resilience podcast with Tamiko Drummond. Real topics, real people, real solutions.
Hello, everyone. Guess what? It is a Cup of Resilience time. My name is Tamiko Drummond, and I'm known as the Brand Success Coach. All right. Hello, everyone. Guess what? We are live, and I cannot tell you how excited I am. Hello, my name is Tamiko Drummond, known as the Brand Success Coach. Once you choose us, they will never stop talking about you. Today, I have the distinct pleasure of speaking with Anthony Howard with all those credentials behind his name and those alphabets. He is a senior HR professional, and he is also the founder of HR Certified. Everyone, please welcome Anthony Howard to A Cup of Resilience. Anthony, thank you so much for being here. Welcome.
Thank you for inviting me. Look, I was trying to get over the serious introduction to the show. Awesome. Thank you for inviting me. I'm glad to be here.
Thank you for being here. Listen, y'all. Anthony be so busy.
Uh-oh.
I'm not gonna go there yet. Let's just say that I am happy that he was available and that he said yes. So thank you so much. So today our topic is overcoming your giant to succeed against the odds. Okay, everyone has a story of resilience, and this man right here has an amazing story. But before we get into that topic, I want everybody to know, Anthony, how do we know each other, and how have your business been successful due to the Brand Success Coach?
Yes.
Kind of go into some details, how you know me, and how I've helped your business.
Yeah, sure. Well, every time I think about anybody's success, normally is connected. It's as a reason. The reason why is because of multiple success factors. And when I look at HR Certified and its foundations and its roots and the motivation to get it to where it's at now, personified, that is Tamiko Drummond. So, long story short on how Tamiko and I met, there was a posting for a study instructor for the PHR, SPHR, that NAAA HR had posted, right? And Tamiko is on the board of directors there, was on the board at the time. And when I applied, one of the aspects of getting that role is to go through an interview process. And so I came to a site, her and other board members, and that was the very first time her and I met, was during the interview to be kind of like a study group instructor for the HR certification exam. So I got the role, long story short. And as I was doing that, Tamiko was the person that was telling me, Anthony, you can do this. You got this, don't you? And so when there were some moments where I'm hypercritical of myself. I think most HR people are, because we strive for excellence and perfection. And it was just because of a natural dynamic that you and I had that really put the wheels in motion for me to go down that path of entrepreneurship. So we're talking about everything from what the name of the company to the website to the tagline,
brand colors,
yes, all of that,
font,
everything, right? Tamiko kind of turned on that side of the brain that's usually not on for an HR professional when you're thinking about doing anything as it relates to, marketing, branding, sales, and all of that. And so I look at you, Tamiko, as a success pillar. Like if we didn't meet, if we didn't go through there's not a way in the world that I would be where I'm at right now with HR Certified. So I thank you.
Thank you so much. It is my pleasure, and I'm so excited for your success. So let's delve into the topic. So we picked the topic, overcoming your giants, and how to succeed against the odds, right? So give us a little background. Where are you from, or where did you grow up?
Yeah. So I grew up on the south side of Chicago, Illinois, right?
Southside.
And so, just to describe, that environment, I also went to, a Chicago public school. What's really interesting to Miko is that when there are people who are from Chicago, if they don't know me, I don't think they assume that I'm from like the inner city, or that I went to the school. I went to a private school, or I went to a school out in the suburbs. But that's not the case. Like, I mean, I grew up in the inner city. I went to a high school that also had its challenges when your mission is to learn and to grow. And the violence, still was there, right? I'm walking down the street to get on the bus to go to where I need to go to where I need to go, and all those pressures was still there, right? So navigating that was a challenge, and I made a conscious decision for my career is to move and to try something different. I think that was my first hump, was getting out of my comfort zone,
Right.
and going to someplace totally different. No one would have ever thought in a million years that I would have left my family. I didn't leave them, but I just wasn't as accessible to a whole new area. So grew up on the south side of Chicago, and definitely the odds was there. And I think that if I don't know what my outcome would have been if I would have stayed in Chicago, to be honest, just with the trend of everything that was going on.
Of course. Now, when you made that pivot and you left, when did you get into HR?
Well, I actually got into HR before I left Chicago.
Okay.
I started off how I kind of fell into HR. I think a lot of people say that. They don't go to school to go into HR. I originally wanted to be an elementary school teacher. And all it took was one summer camp, and I realized that there wasn't enough of a balance as it relates to what you have to go through, how you're rewarded for that, all of those things. It just wasn't a balance. Now, this is it definitely had me gain a higher level appreciation for those that do teach.
Right.
But I knew that I wanted to teach. It just didn't convert itself to being an elementary school teacher. And that search for figuring out what I was going to do, I went into customer service, the headset, the answering calls. Hey, this is Anthony. How may I help you?
You still got it, Anthony.
And I wound up picking up a job with a company at the time. It was Hewitt Associates. And Hewitt Associates, they did open enrollment work for a whole lot of companies. And so I took open enrollment calls for Verizon Wireless. And that was my first kind of like exposure to human resources. But I wanted to kind of switch and get out of benefits, because I was in benefits for like 4 years at the time I moved, to more of an HR generalist type role. And I realized I couldn't enter that. That's when the HR business partner model became popular. And so, the HR generalist stuff and below was being outsourced.
Right.
I said, I got to go someplace where I can show what I can do and get an opportunity to do that. So I had heard about all the opportunities that presented itself in Atlanta, and I went ahead and moved. I literally was living in the living room of one of the only friend I knew here in Atlanta. And my focus, I did it different. I had to come here with an offer letter, but I still was living in somebody else's house. And so my focus was to get established, and it kind of took off. My career took off from there.
So, okay, so you moved from Chicago. You did have an offer letter, but you're living on someone's couch. How long did it take you to really establish yourself in the marketplace? And when did you get on, I don't want to call it a bandwagon, but you are like the poster child for getting certified and HR certified.
Yes. Well, that's when I first discovered, the benefits of HR certification. So I came here, I worked for .com and HRS.com. That's when the boom was going on. And the name of the company was employees.com. And ADP had a partnership with them. And what ADP was realizing was they were selling employees.com platform faster than their own homegrown system. And so a couple of months after I started at at employees.com, ADP bought them out. And when ADP bought them out, it created a whole slew of new opportunities for me. And I moved into my first people leader role. I still was over a group of HR benefits service center representatives, and it gave me exposure to a whole bunch of clients that was out there. And to link it to certification, I realized that I had to do a little bit more to prove that I wanted to be a generalist, and the experience wasn't enough. And so ADP had a program where you could sign up and pursue a certification. If you were to, they would sponsor you. If you get the certification, they'll give you an increase, all of that kind of stuff. So I said, you know what, I got to prove that I can do more than benefits. So I used that benefit, had an opportunity, self-study. And I'll tell you, it was difficult, to do it like by myself. But I had to sacrifice lifetime, all of that to get it done. And I got the certification. And with that, that made me attractive to be picked up as in my first HR generalist role.
Right. So back then, Anthony, because I know you've been in HR for, do you want to tell them?
Yes, fine.
For a while.
For a while. 20 years.
Now,
2000.
So how many men were in HR back then? Because it's not really a field that a lot of men were in. It's a lot of men now, but how did it, I don't know, how were you able to make that transition? Because I don't know, when did they stop calling it personnel? Remember, it was called personnel, personnel department, right?
Yeah. I think that kind of made that transition in the early 2000s especially when they went to the HR business partner model. This field attracts women to it, right? Like that's point blank period. And I think there's a few reasons for that. It doesn't really attract to men, and I think a lot of times men may think that it's an administrative type of role, or that they align it to admin assistant, executive assistant, departmental assistant, all that kind of stuff.
Right.
And then also the other aspect of I'm not going to say nurturing, but that whole aspect that you got to tap into with dealing with challenges of other employees. Like, I don't want to have to deal with that. Right. So
exactly.
I think that's what, doesn't attract as much, to. And then, of course, there's every time you think about an HR professional, if you were to close your eyes and think about an HR professional, you don't think about a guy. You think about a female in it. But I think for me, the reason why I liked it was the fact that it's so impactful. HR has such a impact on engagement, which also has an impact on a person's quality of life. Right. Just think about how much time you spend at a job, at work. And I know for me, my personal driver is if I can do something to help improve somebody's quality of life or help them be more engaged at work, I've helped them in essence improve their overall quality of life. Like, how do you change this from being a job to something that you truly, you want to do, and helping the business, still meet its goals, but also thinking about the ramifications of its decisions to people.
So, Anthony, I want you to tell me, because I love your story about getting certification after certification and the reason why you started HR certified. Now, we're talking about going against the odds. Now, you came from Chicago, grew up in the south side of Chicago, decided to pivot into HR, moved all the way to Atlanta, Georgia, sleeping on somebody's couch. How did the certifications or being able to move up help you defy the odds so that now you are not only a successful business owner, but you're in a top position in one of, a top company in the Atlanta area?
Yeah. So I think there was another hurdle that I just need to definitely put out there. I do not have my bachelor's degree. I have an associate's degree. I'm in school
Mhm.
to get my bachelor's degree. I'll get that next year.
Right.
But that was an additional hurdle for me because I did not have my bachelor's degree, right? But I might have had all of this experience.
Right.
And so what I found as it relates to, what the power of certification allows you to do, it allows you to rebrand yourself. Like, it's not just about taking a test. It is about learning that entire body of knowledge, being able to apply it in the role of HR journalist or HR business partner. And then you also have to prove that you have the experience too,
Right.
right? For the level of exam that you have. So by having the certification, I didn't have to explain much, right? It kind of, it spoke for itself. If I have a SPHR or I have a SHRM STP, it means not only do I know it, but I also have the experience at the right level to back it up. And then also I use certification as a way for me to understand the best practices of whatever I'm venturing into.
Mhm.
So I have recently moved and transitioned into a talent management and development role.
Right.
I've always had that as pet projects to do, and I know what I need to do, but in order to really add value to it, I'm just like, I know there's an opportunity for me to learn. And so my organization allowed me to be able to go and get that leadership development succession specialist designation. And when they did that, it just opened my eyes to a whole bunch of other things, as well as networking with other people who are going through what I'm going through.
Right.
So it was just invaluable. So when you ask that question about, how did I transition? How did I make that move? I had to really understand what the value of HR certification was going to do for me, and really lean in on that in order to have opportunities to be able to open. And when I did that in the right way, the degree wasn't a topic of discussion.
Right.
It was like, you know what, Anthony can do the job. So we're going to extend it. We're going to extend it to him. And that created a whole bunch of opportunities, like from manager to HR business partner, to director it opened up a whole a lot of doors, and I really think that part to certification.
Right. That's a really good point. Now, I have my master's degree, but I honestly believe that certifications are a way to go. Certainly. When I see people post maybe on social media, LinkedIn, and they're like, oh, or maybe asking for an opinion, should I go and get my master's in whatever? I honestly believe, people, please listen to Anthony. Go and get your certification, okay?
Yeah.
Because right now, yeah, you can have a master's degree or try to get the certification.
Yeah, I couldn't agree wholeheartedly. Now again, this is not against anyone that wants to go and get their master's degree, right? If you want to do it, you got the resources, don't do it.
Don't do it.
But this is the reality. I look at MBAs as enhancers. It's not a replacement of. Unless you're going in, and what I mean by that is that you can't lead in with your master's degree, because the other questions are going to be, well, what's your experience at?
Exactly.
Right? What have you done? Right?
Exactly.
So go ahead.
No, I was just going to say that I was speaking to a woman the other day, and she said, her son is like just graduated college, and he's went to get his master's degree and wanted to start a consulting firm.
Mm-hmm.
Why?
Yeah.
Where's your experience? Okay.
Right.
Yes, you have this, but you have no experience. So I told her to talk to him, because how are you going to help clients? You have no real life experience. Just looking at a book and having book knowledge is not enough. I promise you.
Yeah.
I promise you it's not.
Yeah. The challenges that face HR as we are helping companies navigate through the current, our current state, it requires that experience, right? But when you think about things like COVID, right? No one in a million years would have expected a pandemic to hit when it did, right? And we had to pivot, we had to adjust, but a lot of that was built upon some of these experiences that we had prior to that, right?
Of course.
But no, I definitely agree with you as it relates to that. Like, you got to have the experience. And when I go back and that story, I'll let you know as relates to, me, ADP sponsoring me to get that certification. That wasn't just for the employee's sake. That was for them, right?
Right.
If they're outsourcing and you're choosing whether or not you want to choose ADP or another service provider, guess what? That sales rep is able to say, you know what? I got a team of certified professionals that can help service your account. And that puts them at a competitive position than maybe, another company in which they, and when you think about just the whole aspect of certification, it's just like there is an unconscious comfort with going with a provider or with a person that is certified versus that's not. And I've heard the other way around. It's like, oh, you don't need that. You don't need no certification or whatever. And I guess it's really based off, what are you trying to get? Exactly. Is it just the letters after your name? Then I may agree with you as it relates to that. It's what are you trying to get out of it, and how are you going to use that so that you can be more impactful? It's more than just about the letters. It's your journey in getting there. Exactly. And how that's going to help you.
Certainly. So what advice would you give someone who's maybe starting their journey, in the middle of their journey, and they're looking to to make it to where you are? What advice would you give them?
Well, I'm gonna begin off with this. A lot of times in HR, there's this pressure that you need to be somebody else. Mm-hmm. There's this pressure that you need to give a representative in order to be successful. And I can tell you for me, that was, and being junior, it was one where I'm just like, I want to be able to conform to what that rapping would be, mm-hmm. So that people can take me seriously. Right. And when I go back and I take a look at my journey leading up to there, what I would say to me back then is, don't lose your authentic self, and make sure you're doing this for the right reasons. Right. I know a lot I have encountered a lot of HR professionals where in my mind, I ask, why are you in this? Like, what's the purpose? Like, why are you in the HR profession? Is it to get a check? Is it to accumulate power? Is it to demonstrate power? Like, what is it that's driving you to wanting to do this? So going back to your original question, make sure you've done your research, that this is the profession that you want, and that you understand the glitz and glamour part of this, but also I call it the dark HR part too, that comes along with it, right?
Listen, if you've ever been in HR, any day, every day could be a different day. You have a plan and you're going to tackle something, you have to pivot constantly. Yeah. So if you're not prepared to pivot, just don't do it.
Yeah, understand what HR is about. The analogy that I use is, think about a flight attendant, right? Mm-hmm. When you think about a flight attendant from a customer's eyes, you're like, they're there for me. No, they're not. They are there for the safety and security of that plane. So guess what HR people are? We are there for the safety and security of the business, mm-hmm. at the end of the day. Now, if we can align that to where we can be an employee advocate, awesome. If we have to if we have to give leaders and people leaders guidance on things that they don't want to hear but they need to hear, right? That's a part of it too. But you got to realize that, you got to find what your passion is, because the reality is there's a reason why HR exists, right. And you have to be aligned to that. Some people, I remember in my first interview for HR associate job, the VP asked me, why do you want to get into this? And I said, I'm good with people. I love people. I can do customer service well. Like, they will love me. And I remember the VP telling, don't ever answer that way ever. And I said, why not? And they said, well, because HR that's not just it. Yeah. Like, they want to make sure that at the end, you're going to be aligned to the business, and that you're not going to override that for your affinity for the people, right? But you got to find a way to align it and balance it. Don't lose. So
there has to be a balance, or else you will have a lot of turnover. There has to be a balance.
Yeah. So don't lose make sure that you can enter this profession with your genuine self, and make sure you're entering this profession for the right reasons that tap into your inner passions, about how you want to translate that out into the world. And if those two things aren't there, you might need to get a coach. You might need to reach out to somebody. You might have to have a conversation before you go down this path. That's
Right.
what I would say.
So before we wrap up, though, because you said align with your genuine self. Now, there's a talk that I do. It's called RUN, RUN, your intro brand, how to run your intro brand. And it's primarily about personal branding. So in essence, people cannot bring their 100% authentic selves to work. And we know this, right? Because everybody else might not be ready for everybody's authenticity.
Yeah.
So it's not even that there's a balance.
There is. It's called that switch, right?
Right.
You need, so yeah, good point. And I guess what I mean by bringing your authentic self is just making sure that when you do have to turn that switch on, so to speak, when you have to position yourself where your audience will be listening to what you have to say, mm-hmm. that you're not so removed from who you are as a person,
right?
That you lose a sense of self is what I mean. It's just like, hey, I can, the way I am in a termination meeting, a separation meeting,
right?
It's going to be different than it is that me and you talking. But guess what? And both of those, there are some principles that I have that I won't lose.
Exactly.
Like, hey, I am going to empathize with that person because I've been on that other side, right?
Exactly.
It's just, I want them to know that I'm human too. I'm not a robot. I'm not, right? That's also that's a part of my authentic self, is that I want to be genuine in everything that I do. When you talk to me, that, okay, Anthony believes in what he believes in. And it's because I'm staying authentic and true to myself.
I think that's awesome. That's awesome, Anthony. Well, thank you so much. Is there anything else that you want to leave the audience with?
Ooh, man. Wow. So, again, last year, it was everybody's journey is a continuous learning journey. I believe that there's never a point in time where you know everything. Mm-hmm. And so as you're going through whatever you're going through, everybody has life that happens around them. Is that time will pass. And when it does, make sure that you learn from whatever that difficulty handed to you, right? Because in the end, you become stronger for it. Right. I'm going to give one last quick example. A lot of people know me throughout my working career as having a low haircut. I think even when I first met you, I had a low, and right. Now I got hair. In fact, I have an Afrocentric hairstyle, right? And back to the authentic self was, I remember being told that I can't wear this, that you can't represent HR, you can't represent our organization that way. And now that I go back and think about it, it was an unconscious thing that I just kept my hair low because I didn't want to have that type of conversation ever again. I'm using this as an example because you don't want to lose your authentic self, and you want to learn from the lessons that have been provided to you to become a stronger authentic self and lead with your passion.
That's good. That is good stuff. So Anthony, thank you so much. How can the people find you if they want to be HR certified? How do they find you?
Yeah. Well, first off, definitely connect with me on LinkedIn. The way that you see my name here is the way that is listed on LinkedIn. So look me up at Anthony P. Howard. You can also connect with HR Certified on Facebook and LinkedIn at HR Certified LLC. So connect with me on LinkedIn and also follow me on those business pages. Our phone number and our website, gethrcertified.com.
All right, everyone. Thank you so much, Anthony, for being a guest on A Cup of Resilience. Again, my name is Tamiko Drummond, known as the Brand Success Coach. Once you choose us, they will never stop talking about you.
I love that.
Listen, it's the truth. It is the truth. So until next time, thank you so much and enjoy the rest of your Friday. Bye, everyone.
Thank you for tuning in to A Cup of Resilience. Follow, like, share at A Cup of Resilience. At A Cup of Resilience.
My name is Tamiko Drummond, and I'm known as the Brand Success Coach. Once you choose us, they will never stop talking about you.